Welcome back for another deep dive with Book to Read. This is episode 13, and we're taking a trip back to the roaring 20s with The Great Gatsby.
Ooh, a classic.
Definitely a classic.
Yeah.
And a tragic one at that. Think lavish parties on Long Island.
Champagne, flapper dresses.
Yeah. And a whole lot of drama.
Yeah,
Love.
obsession.
Yeah. And of course, that elusive American dream.
It's amazing how Fitzgerald captures that era. It's not just a love story.
Right.
It really delves into the heart of American society at the time.
That's so true.
You know, the pursuit of wealth, the illusion of happiness.
And that desire to recapture the past.
Exactly. Like, can you ever really go back?
Right. It makes you think about what we're all chasing after today.
Absolutely. And speaking of chasing after things, if you're looking to connect with other book lovers and really dig into these themes, you have got to check out Bookspace.
It's like my go-to after I finish a book that, really gets me thinking.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like having a book club in your pocket. You can share your favorite quotes, discover new books.
Connect with other readers.
Yeah, it's a whole community.
Definitely recommend it. But for now, let's get back to Gatsby. Let's head over to West Egg and those legendary parties.
All right, let's go.
So the story unfolds through the eyes of Nick Carraway. He's a young guy from the Midwest who moves to Long Island to work in finance, right?
Yeah.
And he ends up living next door to none other than Jay Gatsby,
The mysterious millionaire.
the one and only. And this guy throws these extravagant parties every weekend. Hundreds of guests, orchestras, champagne flowing everywhere.
It's almost overwhelming just reading about them.
I know. And Nick, he's like our guide through this whole world of wealth and illusion. He's both an observer and a participant. You can tell he's drawn to all the excitement.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's a part of him that remains detached.
Like he sees through the facade a little bit.
Exactly.
Which is what makes him such a compelling narrator, right?
Definitely.
And then we have Daisy Buchanan, Nick's cousin.
The beautiful, captivating Daisy.
Right. She's married to Tom Buchanan, who's this incredibly wealthy...
Incredibly arrogant.
Yes. Incredibly arrogant guy. They live across the bay in the even more exclusive East Egg. Think old money, social status.
It's a whole different world from West Egg.
Totally. And this is where the story gets really interesting. Gatsby, he throws these lavish parties, not just for anyone. He's doing it all for Daisy.
He's still in love with her, right?
Yeah, that they have this complicated past. Years ago, he was just a poor soldier, and she was the golden girl, completely out of his reach.
So he's trying to win her back with all this wealth and extravagance.
Exactly. He believes if he can recreate the past, if he can impress her enough...
He can finally have her.
Right. He even bought his mansion just to be closer to her. Every night, he stands there staring at the green light at the end of her dock.
That green light, it's such a powerful symbol.
It represents so much. His yearning, his hope, but also the elusive nature of the American dream itself.
Like it's always just out of reach.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. What are we all really searching for? It's kind of sad though, isn't it? Like Gatsby thinks all this money can just erase the past.
Totally.
And like magically bring back this lost love.
Yeah, he's clinging to this idea that things can go back to the way they were. But the more time Gatsby and Daisy spend together,
the more you can see it's not working.
Exactly. There's all this tension bubbling under the surface.
It's like a ticking time bomb. You just know something's gonna blow.
And it does. That confrontation between Gatsby and Tom at the Plaza Hotel.
Yeah, man, that scene. Talk about a showdown.
It's intense. Tom's jealousy is just eating him alive.
Plus, he's got to assert his dominance, you know?
Yeah.
Show everyone who's really in charge.
Right. And he uses all his old money, power, and influence to try to discredit Gatsby.
Yeah, like Gatsby's this phony, a bootlegger, a nobody.
Exactly. Which is so ironic because Tom's no saint himself.
Exactly. I mean, he's openly having an affair, he's arrogant and entitled, but he still acts like he's superior to Gatsby.
It's all about power and control, isn't it?
Absolutely. And poor Daisy, she's stuck in the middle of this whole mess.
You can tell she's torn. Like part of her wants to be with Gatsby.
Right. The guy she fell in love with years ago.
Yeah. But then there's the security and familiarity of her life with Tom.
It's a tough choice. And she's not exactly making it any easier on herself.
No, she's not. And then things get even worse. Gatsby and Daisy are driving back from the city in Gatsby's fancy yellow car.
Oh, that car.
I know, right?
It's like a symbol of Gatsby's whole persona.
Definitely. So they're driving, and in this moment of panic, Daisy hits Myrtle Wilson.
Tom's mistress.
Yeah, it's this awful accident, and Gatsby He can't bear to see Daisy suffer, so he does the unthinkable.
He takes the blame.
He does, which is both heroic and completely reckless.
It's like he's blinded by his love for her.
He is. He's willing to sacrifice everything for Daisy, even if it destroys him. And Tom...
I can't even with Tom.
I know, right?
He's just so cold and heartless. He tells Myrtle's husband that Gatsby was driving the car.
He does. Which is just a straight-up lie. But Tom doesn't care. He just wants to protect himself and hurt Gatsby.
He's playing dirty, and it has devastating consequences.
It does. George Wilson, Myrtle's husband, he's heartbroken and enraged.
He's looking for revenge.
He goes to Gatsby's mansion, finds him in the pool, and shoots him.
Oh, God. It's just so tragic. Gatsby spends his whole life chasing this dream.
Yeah.
And in the end, he dies alone, surrounded by all this empty wealth.
It's like Fitzgerald saying, look, the American dream, especially when it's based on illusion in the past, it can destroy you.
Absolutely. It's a cautionary tale. And what's even more heartbreaking is that nobody really seems to care about Gatsby's death.
Except Nick and Gatsby's father.
Yeah, the people who really knew him, all those party guests, the ones who drank his champagne, danced to his music, they disappear.
And they were never really his friends.
Just there for the show. It really shows the shallowness of that whole world Gatsby was trying so hard to be a part of.
And Nick, he sees it all. He's completely disillusioned by the whole experience. He decides to leave West Egg and head back to the Midwest.
He realizes that the world of Gatsby and the Buchanans, it's all built on lies.
Yeah, and deceit and tragedy.
He's been changed by what he's seen.
Forever marked by Gatsby's story.
Yeah. So where does that leave us? What's the takeaway from The Great Gatsby? Well, Gatsby, I think, leaves us with a lot to chew on.
It does. I mean, where do we even begin? We got the American dream, right? And that yearning for the past. Like, could you ever really go back?
And that obsession, right? Like how it can consume you.
Yeah, Fitzgerald really packs it all in there.
She does. It's like one of Gatsby's parties.
I know, with all those layers.
Right. All those hidden meanings.
Uh-huh. And it makes you think, like, are we any different today?
Exactly. Are we still chasing after those same illusions?
Are we?
Especially in a world obsessed with wealth and status,
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm still haunted by that ending.
Oh, me too. Gatsby alone in that pool. Yeah.
His dream just slipping away.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. Like all that striving, all that yearning, and for what?
Right. It's like Fitzgerald saying, hey, be careful what you wish for.
Because you might just get it, and then what?
Exactly. And Nick, I think he really learns that lesson.
He does. He sees the dark side of all that glamour.
Right. The emptiness beneath the surface.
And he walks away. He chooses a different path.
He does. So maybe there's hope.
Maybe. As long as we learn from Gatsby's mistakes.
Right, and focus on what truly matters.
Exactly, like genuine connection, real experiences.
Not just chasing some empty dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a place to connect with other book lovers,
to really dig into these ideas,
you got to check out Bookspace.
I love Bookspace. It's such a great way
To share your thoughts.
Yeah.
Discover new books.
Meet people who love reading as much as you do.
It's a great community.
It is. So if you want to keep this conversation going,
head over to Bookspace and join the party. Who knows? You might even bump into us there.
You just might. But before we sign off,
Yeah.
I gotta ask, that green light at the end of Daisy's dock?
Oh, yeah.
It makes me wonder, do you think it's possible to outrun the past? Or are we all, in some way, destined to repeat it?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is.
Something to ponder for sure.
Definitely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into The Great Gatsby. Thanks for joining us, and as always, happy reading.